What's up and welcome back to MBS Fitness Radio, where we share stories of health and fitness success and valuable information to help you, our listeners, have success on your health and fitness journey. Today I have Cheyenne on the podcast and we talk all things supplements. Some areas I think you're really going to like are how Cheyenne uses supplements to triage her clients' nutrition and how she prioritizes gut health before anything else in her supplement regimen. Just a heads up that audio in this is a little off. We had some issues with our mics, so this is not our normal audio quality, and we apologize for that, but just want to give you a heads up. But without further ado, here is MBS Fitness Radio.
Get ready for a no BS approach to health and fitness. This is MBS Fitness Radio.
All right, welcome back to MBS Fitness Radio. I am here with Cheyenne Caldwell. Cheyenne is one of our coaches, nutrition coaches. She also does recovery in her recovery room. And today, our topic is supplements. So, let's jump right in. Cheyenne, what is a supplement?
Supplemental.
Ah.
So it's anything that you take that's supplemental to your nutrition and health.
Okay. So, like, give me an example of what you would consider is a supplement and then is not a supplement.
Yeah. So, to me, guiding my nutrition clients through this has been interesting because for each person determines what's supplemental to you.
Yeah, right.
So, like, for person A, what's supplemental to them would not be the same that's supplemental to another person.
Okay.
Person A may require that in their diet.
Got it.
Rather than person B, who has the diet that contains whole foods, and say like a protein powder would be supplemental to them, whereas person A, they can't get to whole foods, that's a requirement for you now.
Okay.
So I think it's pretty interchangeable.
Interesting.
I think some supplements will always stay supplemental.
Yeah.
But the majority of the ones that we think of when we think like supplements, I think of like protein powder and creatine and greens and reds and things like that. Those are, I think, very variable on the person. They depend on the person.
Got it. So you would say, so like greens, reds, they might be considered supplements.
Yeah.
And then they might not be considered supplements.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. What about like a protein bar?
I think that's a very similar route. So like somebody who is traveling and can't get their hands on like a real whole food option, or like I have a client who her company, she travels, she only gets paid for like fast food, right? Like she
can't like submit a receipt for.
Yeah, she can't go to like Kroger and get what she needs when she's traveling, or the grocery store, local, or whatever. She can only buy stuff from a restaurant, fast food.
So they don't give her like a budget.
Right.
It's just like.
It's like here's like this last week she was telling me it was Jack in the Box. Like that's what you get.
They predetermine it?
Yes.
Yes.
So like now we're looking at that and I'm like, all right, protein bars. So like I wouldn't call that supplemental. However, like if you're here and you're in the gym and you're on your way home, like and you're gonna have a protein bar, that's supplemental.
Interesting. Okay. What about like Gatorade?
Oh, I'd definitely say supplemental.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there's better options, and I think that kind of comes down to like kind of where we'll go with this is like there's a lot of options of supplements, there's a lot of different brands, and they're not all made equally. Yeah. And so like Gatorade is one of those ones that's, yes, it's awesome and athletes use it, but at the bottom line, like we can get that same thing from natural substance. Yeah. Rather than the supplemental.
I saw a meme that said there's only two types of people that take Gatorade: people who are hungover and high-level athletes.
Yes.
That's pretty interesting insight.
Absolutely.
Here's how I kind of categorize supplements. I categorize them as food, performance, and then health. Mm-hmm. So, like I would say, a food-based supplement replaces or makes it easier for you to get the required nutrients in a just easier to digest or easier to carry form. So like protein powder is a food-based supplement. And then a performance-based supplement is something that they use directly to improve performance. So like creatine is something you would use to directly improve performance. And maybe I would put like Gatorade in there as well.
Like pre-workouts.
Yeah, pre-workouts.
Yeah.
But then like some things kind of fall into both because you say, well, Gatorade contains carbohydrates.
Right.
Easier to drink it than to eat a potato while you're working.
Right.
And then health is things that are designed to, and I guess there's a little bit of gray area through all these things. But like vitamin D would be a health-based supplement.
Right.
It's designed to directly impact your overall health. I mean, and doing so, it would also improve performance.
Exactly.
But like fish oil, I would say it's a health-based supplement, though it is fish oil.
Right.
So you could pick
So you could put that in the food category because of the fat content.
Yeah, so I don't think, I mean,
But
it's
intention would be higher.
yeah, so that's kind of the way I categorize them. Do you have any categories that you kind of put them in, or?
That's pretty much the way I've been
Okay.
taught and trained through certs and
Yeah.
research that, I mean, I would 100% agree with that.
Cool. All right, so when would you tell someone, hey, it's time to start taking supplements, or if someone was like, hey, I'm ready to take some supplements, what's your kind of guidelines for determining yes or no, or something?
Yeah, so I mean, to kind of build off of your categories that you've outlined, I think very properly, would be like, if we're going to take a food supplement, it needs to be very warranted. Like, we always want to turn to whole foods first. And I'll normally tell my people that, you know, we want to turn whole foods first, except in one very specific instance, and that's immediately after a workout.
Okay.
We want something as digestible and as rapid in your system as you can get it, and that would be like your protein powder.
Yeah.
Or with the carbohydrate in it, of course. So like something to recover you as fast as possible. It's digested and absorbed at the fastest rate. It's going to take you a lot longer to digest your steak after your workout, right? Or your chicken or whatever it is.
What if I make my steak and chicken into a shake?
Then we get into like the whole enzyme issue, which of course we can get into later with the supplements. Sure, you can take that and then take your digestive enzymes with it.
Yeah.
Now you're there. So it's a rate of absorption with the food supplements. That's definitely one that I think is an appropriate supplementation post workout. And then you get into the like gut health. Most of us, I mean, if you take the average American population, it's 70 to 75%, I think, that have a digestive issue that they know about. Out of that percentage, it's 25% that actually go and do something about it.
Ow.
Like, it's significant. Most of us have some sort of problem with our gut, and we know about it, but we don't talk about it. And so, like, the gut health things I would call, well, not quite that severe, hopefully. Hopefully your gym members are not an issue right now. But I think just in general, like, we see that as like, oh, well, there's some supplements I could take, but I'm not really sure if they would work. And I think that's definitely a warranted, like, yes, let's use supplements as a routine, because we're not getting what we need clearly through our whole foods. So I think things like gut health or sleep, to fix a major problem in the health category, we need to supplement. As far as like, well, I think I could probably get some bigger muscles taking creatine, but you're eating fast food all the time, not drinking water, like, maybe not. Maybe we change diet and exercise first, and then move to other supplements afterwards, after everything's pretty much lined up. So I think if you've got that appropriate balance of nutrition and exercise, and then you add supplements in to fill the gaps, that's appropriate.
All right, so like, what are some questions you would ask someone to kind of determine whether or not you would introduce supplements? Like, on day 1 versus like day 30, like, what are the questions you're talking to someone about?
Just in general, like food diary.
Okay.
Like, what do you normally eat in a day? And if their answer is like, if in the week we're having like some fast foods and we're having some issues with getting enough calories and getting enough protein in, at that point we're going to try to go to the whole food source first. Absolutely. And like, try to make a good long-term sustainable change in their lifestyle. If that's something that they're not willing to change, sure, we can supplement then. Absolutely, let's supplement, because it's more important to meet those requirements than it is to change that person's like dynamic.
So you're almost kind of triaging what's needed to get them to kind of baseline requirements for health and fitness. Like, baseline requirements for health and fitness would be training regularly, eating well. Like, we could
Keep it simple. Yeah, but keeping it simple, that's exactly it.
So if I'm struggling to get proper nutrition in, then if I can utilize a supplement to kind of like set that baseline,
Yes.
then that's where like I kind of introduce that.
Yeah.
Or if I'm sleeping like crap, so then I'm skipping my workouts every morning, and then I'm tired throughout the day, so I'm taking some caffeine, and then I'm starving at night, and that's causing me to eat bad.
At night, yeah.
And we go, okay, well, is there something that we can institute now, supplement-wise, to help improve your sleep? Because that's the bleed. We gotta like stop this bleed so that we can then address the rest of this stuff down the road. Because if this continues, you bleed out and we die. So.
And I kind of actually like really like the fact that brings in like it's an emergency.
Yeah.
Like you say like triage and like that's the bleed, like cauterize it. You know, like making sure that people understand like it is a health emergency to not get to your requirements nutritionally.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
But like back to your saying with the sleep, like if we can change and we have healthy sleep habits in general, right? Like we're not sleeping with the TV on and on our phone and off and stuff like that. Or drinking alcohol before we go to sleep and having that make us fall asleep, stuff like that. If we've changed all those things, or if we're not willing to change those things, then absolutely supplement in order to get yourself healthy. So I think that kind of health category can be a little less supplement and a little more routine and regiment than just filling in the gaps. That can be routine.
Yeah. I was talking to Keiki earlier about mindset, and I called it consumer versus investor mindset. And so like consumer mindset only thinks about like first order effects in the here and now, and investor mindset considers like second, third order effects, and then like long term risk profiles for the different stuff. And so like I think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think like, oh, like 6 hours of sleep, like that's pretty good. And we're like, that's kind of a bleed. Because like the 6 hours of sleep makes it where you can only train 2 days a week.
Right.
But before you get totally tired, and it causes you to eat good like 60% of the time. So like the first order effects is like you're kind of tired and you don't necessarily eat that great or train enough. But then the second order effects is like, what does this occur over the next 10 years?
Right.
And then the third order effect is, or I would even say second order effects is like, how does this impact your life over the rest of your life? And the third order effect is like, how does that then impact others around you? And so, it sounds a little dramatic to kind of be like, well, you getting 5 hours or 6 hours of sleep is a bleed. But when we consider like the long-term effects of that, it's like, it could be not just 10, 20 years off your life, but it could be like the sacrifice that you're making from now till you die, and then what's the third order effects, the effects of you not actually living a healthy and fit life, and how is that impacting other people around you?
Kind of the ripple effect. Like, sure, it's just 5 hours of sleep or 6 hours of sleep, but like that, like you said, like that turns into not training, it turns into feeling like crap, it turns into binging at night. And the cycle continues, and next year you're at 4 hours of sleep.
So I think that's where we're kind of like, how do we stop this bleed? It's like, it is that important, and why we can like, why we kind of focus on that area particularly, versus saying like, or why would we potentially introduce a supplement into this? And like, hopefully it'd be like, well, if we can make those 5 hours of sleep just that much more restful, maybe that gets you exercising the third day, and then shows you like, I see now a difference from going from 5 hours of unrestful sleep to 5 hours of restful sleep.
Right.
What would I feel like if I got 7 hours of good sleep?
Exactly.
You know, and we can maybe kind of build on that momentum.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the problem if there is with supplements, or like you're playing with fire there, because now we're like introducing the magic pill, if you will. And I think that's kind of this idea that a lot of supplement companies try to sell. Hey, like let me describe the perfect scenario where like there's this one little gap missing, and this bottle of whatever will fill in. So having that like main problem disappear with one pill or one supplement, it's very unlikely, right? Like you're at 99% of absolute like health, fitness, like you've got your nutrition dialed in 99%, all your workouts are 99%, your performance is exactly where you want it, and that 1%, maybe if you're the highest level athlete, will go to 100 with a supplement.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's how I say, like, supplements are 1% actions.
Yes.
Like, they're 1% impacts.
Yes.
And so, there's the foundation is, we've talked about this in the past, but the foundation is like getting enough training in, which realistically probably needs to be somewhere between 5+ hours a week.
Yeah.
So if we're not getting 5+ hours a week of training, that's like the greatest impact you could make is just training an extra hour.
Yeah.
Finding a way to clear your schedule. Having a generally intelligent nutritional plan that gets you quality foods in the correct amounts throughout the day 90% of the time, which is basically having 1 or 2 out of the box meals a week. So if we're not doing that, then again, there's like, that's a 50% effect or 100% effect.
Right.
That the supplements don't make a difference. Getting the quality sleep,
Right.
making sure our hormones are kind of in check and our mental health is stabilized as well.
Yeah.
So what's all of those? Like, I'm training 5 hours a week. I'm eating good. I know my hormones are correct. I'm in a good spot mentally.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting 8 hours of sleep.
And to piggyback off that water too.
Yeah, and getting that would fall in the nutritional piece.
Absolutely. And I think it's its own little piece when it comes to supplements.
So once we're doing all of that, that's when like performance supplements can kind of come into play.
Absolutely.
Or if we're in a period of life like, hey, the sleep is just kind of crazy right now, like, can we put a Band-Aid on it with the recognition that we have to get back to
Yeah. You
quality
triage
sleep?
it.
Yeah, triaging it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to kind of limp by
Yes.
for the next month because you got some crazy stuff that makes you get
Right.
6 hours of sleep.
Right.
But ultimately, you have to get back to 8 hours of sleep, or 7, 9.
You're
whatever.
walking winded. You need
Yeah.
to. You need to fix it, but it's not dire.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I'm like trying to tell someone like, well, what supplements should I take? That would be my question, like, well, how many days a week do you train?
Yep.
How many hours of sleep do you get? How many meals of the total meals you eat per week are whole food with a protein, fat, carb, vegetable, fruit that you are eating purposefully? In other words, you have a purpose behind eating this food.
Yep.
And then what your hormones and your mental stress like.
Right.
If all that you're like, I'm good on all that. Okay, now let's talk about supplements.
Yes.
I think that's like American life and kind of society as a whole generally kind of throws, I mean, let's just be real. Most people don't exercise, don't eat well, are stressed to the max and have no real tools to manage it.
Right.
They get terrible sleep because they put TVs on in their room or keep their stupid phone by their bed.
Yeah.
And they drink before bed and they take caffeine at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then because of all that, it throws all their hormones out of whack. And so this reality is it's like, there's no supplement you can take
To fix that.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
nothing.
There's nothing in a bottle that's gonna fix that.
Yeah. if that's you, like the only strategy is to start working through those problems.
Yes.
And there's no supplement we could ever recommend that would fix that.
Absolutely.
Okay. We're talking about water because I'm curious to hear what you have to say about the water piece.
All my nutrition clients hate me for the water issue. It's always, how's your water? How's your water? I think it's very underestimated thing. Once we get enough water into our bodies, into our cells, everything improves. Energy, sleep, appetite, control, hormones, gut health, digestion, everything improves. Muscularity, cardiovascular, and when we start taking supplements, we increase the need for water.
Yeah.
Supplements are transferred by water through our cells. So if you have the minimum of what your body needs, which we try to expand on, but like about 100 ounces, right? So like some of us take in a gallon, some of us are at the 30 ounce and we're working towards it.
Yeah.
About 100 ounces, right, is like the average person needs. Now we're throwing supplements on there and they're carried by water. We need to increase that.
Yeah. Okay. Without measuring, is there a way for someone to know if they're drinking enough water?
You can know if you're very dehydrated.
Okay. Like, what are the signs?
So like a lot of times it comes with digestion and like fatigue, weakness.
General fatigue,
weakness.
Stomach pain,
yes. Non-regular bowel movements, things like that. And then of course, like you're like significantly dehydrated once we're like pinching your skin and it's tinting up kind of thing. So we're looking at general things here, and once we add water in to the problems that most of us experience, right? Like, oh my God, I'm tired. Water will be the first line, and my nutrition clients, like I said, are sick and tired of hearing it. But the moment they do, it's like, oh my God, I didn't know I was so dehydrated before.
Is it that they're drinking things and not water, or that they're just not drinking things? Like they wake up in the morning, they eat like the breakfast sandwich and then drink nothing with it, or just a cup of coffee and then move on?
Yeah, I think that water doesn't taste like coffee, and coffee's better.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Like.
So, but I mean, is that throughout the whole day? It's like I'm drinking a Coke, or I'm just not drinking even, because I mean, to a degree, like you are intaking fluids when you're drinking this stuff.
Right.
So, but is it they're just not overall? They're not taking in enough fluids because they just don't drink. Like no one's going like this must be drank at every meal.
Yes.
So they're only drinking like what feels good, which is a half of that.
Or they're drinking when they're thirsty.
Oh, okay.
So they're rather listening to their body of like, by the time you get thirsty, I don't remember what the percentage is, but you've already lost 1% of your hydration in your body, right? Like it's a large percentage, like 20-ish or something like that. Like you've lost a lot of water in your body, and by the time your body goes, oh, I'm thirsty, we need to drink water, right? And so like that's normally the trigger for people. It's not a habit yet.
Yeah, okay.
So it kind of always comes back to habit. Like it's not a habit for them to drink water, and now we're going to add this new habit of supplement in that needs even more water. So that's kind of like the pickle we end up in. It's like, all right, you have to do this before we can actually get any benefit out of this.
And they feel like I'm drinking so much water.
And then they feel like they're drowning, and they're messaging me like, oh my God.
So from bowel movements, are we looking at like, is it like when you're saying you should have a bowel movement every day, or like you should have bowel movements at the same time as every day, like both?
Both.
Okay.
Ideally, yeah. Ideally both. And that gets us into like the gut health supplementation too. Like if you're not having a bowel movement every day, and we need like kind of like the sleep, like we need to fix that. We need to fix that now. It may take a lot longer to fix that with a whole food and a habit and a lifestyle change. We're gonna fix that now, and we're gonna fix it with some sort of a probiotic, prebiotic, digestive enzyme blend. What
about urination? Is that a good indicator of hydration?
It can be. I'll say that. I'll kind of tiptoe around that because, yes, your clearer urine is going to be more hydrated. Watching kidney function and stuff like that is going to kind of depend, like if you've got kidneys. But if you take in a Gatorade, for example, or your electrolytes, now your pee's yellow. You know what I mean? So like you're hydrated, yes.
Well, maybe like urination frequency and amount.
Yeah,
and that something.
Yes, and it'll shock everybody. Like you're gonna be drowning in water, right? And they're like, I'm going to the bathroom every 15 minutes. Your body is used to it. Your body will finally figure out like, okay, I'm not drowning. I can use this now. This is great.
Yeah. Okay. You're saying that's more of a sign that your body is adjusting to the fact that it's not used to having this much water, and it has to kind of it has to auto-regulate itself to be like, oh yeah, I can do stuff with this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, talk about gut health a little bit more.
I love gut health. It's so amazing.
Quote. Put that on the IG.
There you go. It's amazing. So my biggest pickle right now is like, I have a lot of clients that now are adding like some supplementation of protein in, right? When we do that, we need to have our gut health in order so that we can digest everything that we're putting in. Yep. So like if we haven't increased our digestive enzymes with other supplementation before we start the protein shakes, now we only have, like our body's only making the amount of enzyme for the protein it's used to in taking. Yeah. We're not going to digest anything that we're putting into our body unless we give it the tools to do so.
So you're saying like, if you have a client who's been under eating protein, which is pretty normal, their body has adapted and adjusted to producing the amount of digestive enzymes required to break down the amount of protein they've been eating. And when we double that, their body isn't used to that.
Right,
That's
and so you can't do anything
right.
about it, and you're wasting your money and your time and
Yeah.
your calories,
Yeah.
not getting anything out of it. So that's where I feel like gut health comes into the biggest role with athletes that are starting to use supplementation.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, that's nice. You're going to buy your protein powder now. We need to put some digestive enzymes into your body before that protein powder goes right back into the toilet.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to do anything for you. So making sure, like, my favorite is the first form, OptiGrains. Like, it has everything you need. It's several blends all in one. It doesn't taste like crap. Like,
Do you have them pair? Like, is it so from a digestive enzyme standpoint? Are you having them pair? Hey, you're going to drink this, so that these enzymes are in your stomach, and then you're going to drink the shake. Or can it be done where it's at separate points?
Separate points is totally fine as long as that gut health is a priority and it's habitual. So like having the gut health be your habit, it kind of goes back to this health supplements, that category where we can do that every day. That's a routine thing.
I'm going to tell a story,
Okay.
and hopefully it's. What I want people to hear from this is, do not do this. This is Extreme David looking back on his life and being like, oh, that was kind of crazy. But in my powerlifting days, when I was trying to get up to 290-ish, and I was eating like 9,000 calories a day, which I mean, from a gut health perspective, is rough.
Yeah.
It's putting a lot of
Gross.
food into your body. It's time to work through. So like gut health was part of the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then we would have like Mondo cheat meals, like 3,000 calorie cheat meals, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I would take digestive enzymes like throughout, like I preload digestive enzymes so my body was ready to go eat all this food. Take some during it, and then I take like metformin beforehand as well.
Oh God.
Because I was like, if I can like help my body digest this quickly, and then not hit a an insulin resistance standpoint, I'm gonna really utilize this more. So like I had clients that would lose weight and they get off of metformin, and I'm like, can I have it? And then I called it my cheat meal PEDs.
It's awful.
So that is a good example of maybe some of the benefits of digestive enzymes, but a poor application.
Yeah,
I figured-
definitely to the extreme.
I think people would appreciate that story. Like, okay, that's crazy.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Well, it just it shows like, hey, like you're putting new things in your body,
Yes.
and you need to help your body like be able to handle it well.
And to the point of like it works. Like you
Yeah,
got
right, it works.
you got the muscle mass on that you needed to get on using the digestive enzyme and prioritizing the gut health.
And I mean, the honest difference was when I did it, I mean, I would feel full, but I wouldn't feel like gastric distress, bloated, and I wouldn't. I mean, this is probably metformin, but I wouldn't feel like the insulin crash.
Yeah.
You know, the blood glucose crash. So I'd be like, I'm full, but I can like go and operate. Versus like if I didn't do it, I'm like, oh my gosh, my stomach's
Right.
killing me.
And that's those hormone receptors. So like I can't remember exactly the percentage, I'm set out numbers, but like there's a percentage of hormones, and it's a very large percent they're created in your gut.
Yeah.
So like we're talking all the digestive organs come together and create these hormones like serotonin, like your happy hormone, melatonin, your sleep hormone, all the things that your body makes come from your gut that you think of that like affect appetite and energy and sleep and mood and all of those things. And so in order to keep those healthy and happy, again, like we go back to the cycle of everything.
Yeah.
You're not sleeping well, it's falling out on your workouts. That's all gut health related.
Yeah.
And we can fix all of those things if we prioritize that.
And I think it was like some of the interesting science that's come out here the last 10, 15 years is just like how important gut health is, and how it is I'm trying to think of the word. It's a system that impacts all other systems. There's not this segregated like, well, my gut health's bad,
Right.
but that's just separate from everything else.
Right.
It's like literally gut health can impact your mood.
Yeah.
Like
no,
your
exactly.
depression can be
because of your gut.
Tied into the fact that your gut's not working properly.
It's the gut and brain romance. Like they are together.
Yeah.
They are 100% together. So it's like immunity, right? It's like people like me that are sick all the time. I'm like, I know that this is a gut problem. Yes. I know that this is a gut problem. So I know that I need to get back on track, get my priorities right, make sure that I'm fueling my body in order to perform its best.
Gotcha. All right, so from a gut health supplement standpoint, talk about kind of like what tools we have and like your model for like working with people.
Yeah. My first thing is seeing what they're on right now, like making sure any supplements or medications that they're on right now aren't interfering with each other, or that they're like they're a quality supplement.
Gotcha.
So kind of like we said before, like not all supplements are created equally. Making sure that like the gut health ones, the prebiotics, probiotics, are like low temperature processed. Not a lot of companies do that.
Talk through that.
Yeah.
Like what like why that's important.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you another question.
So the low temperature processed, there's prebiotics, probiotics, enzymes in the gut health realm. All of those things are living. So we need all of those things to be alive. Right. We need all those things to be alive and active when we take them in.
Yeah.
So that's why like you'll see like the pills or the capsules or whatever of prebiotics at the store in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep them alive.
Yeah.
So if it's not refrigerated and it's not specifically low temperature processed, then it's not doing you any favors. It's dead.
Yeah, so like low temperature process means that it was processed at a temperature
that does not kill what's alive. So it does not kill the bacteria, it does not kill the enzyme.
Yeah.
So it can still come into your body and do its job. And you have to remember too, like our stomach has very harsh acids in it. So if you get something that maybe like I had a problem with like expired prebiotics, right? So things like that, like it's going to go into your gut. Now your stomach is going to react with it with acids, and it's not going to get any further than your stomach. You need that in all of your gut health, so like all of your digestive system, all the way through the intestines. So making sure that it's a company that has a lot of education, and is willing to share that education to make sure that their supplements and their products are legit going to help you, and they're not gonna your gut's not gonna kill it by the time it helps.
So first form, OptiGreens, OptiReds, they are low temperature processed.
And it's hard to find those. Athletic Greens is also.
Yeah, and there's an expiration date on there that you can check. And be like, okay, can I still take this?
Exactly. And if you're taking it, you just know that it's not the three main things that enzyme, prebiotic, probiotic. They're not going to be active for you.
Yeah.
There's other things in there that are wonderful and they're great blends, but those three main things that are going to keep your gut alive, they're not helping you at that point.
Gotcha. So you have your enzymes, prebiotic. Probiotic, and then is there anything else? What about fiber?
So those are the things that those are wonderful. We need to have those, but they're not. I'm not personally so picky about like brand with those. Just because you can process that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, do you how do you determine that someone maybe needs fiber, and then like how would you instruct someone like, hey, you need fiber, and here's how I suggest taking it?
I'll go back to whole foods first of all.
Okay.
Like if we're not getting any fibrous whole foods, so like we're talking like even down to like plant fiber, vegetable fruit fibers also, and then like your grain, your starch fibers as well. Most people will be able to tell that they're fiber deficient because of their bowel movements. Okay. We're able to tell, and that can go both ways. Would that be
in frequency, or maybe like effort needed to
yeah, like it definitely goes both ways. So like both extremes, so like whether you are on the loose end or the constipated end, you're gonna have a fiber problem at some point. So one way or the other, we've got an issue. Now, not to get like medical, like your constipated client, we need to get through that with a lot of enzymes, and then we need to put fiber in regularly.
We're not gonna introduce fiber.
Exactly, right.
So you're already having trouble.
If you're constipated, don't take in a bunch of fiber yet. We'll do it systematically so that your gut can handle it. So there's a problem that needs addressed first to get back to the triage, and then we introduce what's supposed to be in your gut. So again, whole foods first. If we can't get whole foods in, if you're on a keto diet, that's a really good one. Like if you're on a keto diet for health reasons, or it's working for you weight loss wise, whatever your mission and goal is there, yes, let's absolutely supplement some fiber in.
That makes sense. Now, I recently was listening to a podcast about like fiber's impact on triglycerides, LDL, and I was taking a fiber supplement, and I had never really, it was soluble fiber, what's that, millimeters or whatever, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go check this, because I was like, I'm taking fiber, but I'm curious to see how much I am taking, and like I just was taking 2 capsules, and I think the recommended dose was like 5 capsules 4 to 5 times a day. I was like, oh my gosh! I'm like, I do not have gut health issues.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh gosh, okay. Well,
Sure.
I was totally off when it came to like the supplemental amount.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like they have to make supplemental amounts like that because you're supposed to be getting it from whole foods. You're supposed to eat 4 or 5 times a day and have that much fiber in your meals. So instead of whole food, like that would be very supplemental.
Yeah, like you would need to take, if you're not getting enough fiber, this is how we can ensure you're going to get enough fiber.
Exactly.
So I ended up doubling. I ended up taking 2 doses. So like I was taking 2 pills. I started taking 10 pills. But I can't say I felt any difference in anything.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see how it impacts my blood levels.
Yeah.
I tend to have like higher LDL and triglycerides. So I did it purely for like blood health reasons. Research on myself. Right, is this going to actually have an impact here? But yeah, I was something another distinct to note is like you should check the dosage amounts and take the appropriate dosing.
Absolutely. And if it says take it with water, take it with water.
Take it with water. Oh gosh, I can't imagine trying to swallow insoluble fiber pills without water.
Coffee's not water, Coke's not water, water is water. It needs water. And a lot of these supplements, right, they need water to digest.
Yeah.
So being very aware of the directions on these is important too.
I love it. Okay, how do you choose a brand? What are some of the thought processes you go through?
For me personally, like the supplements that I take, I like specific brands for their specific reasons. So like the gut health things, again, I love First Form. They're very open and very educating about why their stuff is it is low temperature processed. You don't have to refrigerate it and it expires in 3 days, right? Like it's sustainable. You can put it into your daily routine and it's pretty simple. So simple as you can keep it and it's routine. I like that. So like the gut health things, I love First Form for. And then my sleep stuff, First Form has some good stuff. Thorne has some good stuff. Magnesium is one of the ones that's top notch for sleep supplementation. I take a Beam supplement. It's got CBD, magnesium, a touch of melatonin, and it's got mushrooms in it too that kind of blend all together. So that's my favorite. I can't remember the company that makes another one that's very similar like that. I know Thorne makes one and somebody else makes one. But personally, I really like First Form. I like Beam. I like Thorne. I've had Athletic Greens. I like them too. They don't make a whole lot else.
They kind of said this is the one thing we're going to be good at.
Exactly. And that's great. They're good at it. Protein wise should also, again, back to low temperature processed. Protein should also be low temperature processed. So the stuff that you're buying in the bag at Costco is probably not as beneficial to you. It's not saying it's not going to do anything. It's not as beneficial. And when it goes into your gut, is it digestible?
And I'll just kind of hit on that real quick. I think that sometimes people like they're just making price decisions. Well, they go like, well, protein, that's weight.
Right.
And they go, well, this one's 50 and this one's 35. I can do that. And I don't quite understand, like, well, the reason that's 50 is because the quality of that protein is significantly higher. So you're actually getting a better ROI because the protein that you're intaking is actually going to be utilized to build tissue in the amounts that it's suggested on that. It's not to say that the other one doesn't have those amounts. It's just the quality of the protein makes it so that it's not going to be digested, absorbed, and utilized as well as that other one. So that's I think sometimes people kind of just make the price comparison and don't understand what's the difference between these brands.
Right. And it really does come down to like it comes down to name brand. Like they are brands that are notorious for making quality protein,
Yep.
and that's why you see like these high level athletes using these and being endorsed by and being sponsored by these specific brands. And not to be like a brand loyalist, but like those are the ones I want to use.
Yeah.
Right. Like those have gotten these people to this edge on their, like they're the 99%, right? They're doing 99% of things. This is the 1% that they're choosing to use. I put my faith in that. So again, not to be like a brand junkie, but like those are the ones I'm gonna follow. Are the people that in the sport that I'm trying to chase and live up to. Those are the ones I'm gonna use.
The only pushback I'd say on that was like when I was in middle school. I remember there was a brand called Muscle Tech.
Okay.
And they sponsored Jay Cutler. And I was like, oh, Jay Cutler takes Muscle Tech. I'm going to take Muscle Tech. Which, fun story if you want to talk about supplements. Back in the day, supplements were terrible. And they had a protein powder that tasted like chalky ass. It was so bad. And then they had a creatine that blew your gut up. And I was like, Jay Cutler takes it, I'm taking it. And I would take it every day after. I don't know why I thought I was like, I'd take it after lunch. You're supposed to take like grape juice or something. And then I would go to class. And then after class, I'd run to the restroom. And
you were that kid.
Blow it all up. I do it every day. But like in my like, so there are some brands like. I mean, I'm with you. Like, there's a reason I use First Form or Trust Thorn. Like, there's a reason, and I know it's like multi-level. I trust that company because I know kind of what their values are.
Because you've done your research.
And then on top of that, I know that athlete is actually using their stuff. Versus, like, was Jay Cutler actually using Muscle Tech? Maybe.
Or was he just sponsored by them and wanting their brand?
I mean, I haven't used them. They might have just been writing them checks. So.
But definitely doing your own research and making sure that, like, that I love the companies that put out research. Those are my favorite ones. Those are the ones that I'm drawn to because they care about making sure that their clients, their customers, understand what their mission is, what they're doing.
They're not just putting out marketing. Part of their marketing is like, hey,
education.
We want you to know how to use this properly.
And what it does for you. And I think a lot of companies we have a consumer-driven culture, and like, if you're like, here, this is gonna work for you, we're gonna buy it. We're like, that's the shit I've been missing. You're right. I'm super overweight. I'm super unhealthy. I feel terrible all the time. I need creatine now. So the companies that are willing to put out research to combat that culture that we live in, I think is respectable. And those are the companies that I would like to put my money in because I know that they're worth investing in.
Yeah, when I'm looking at companies, like, I look at their whole brand, what they're putting out. And what I like about like companies like First Form is, like, when I look at their product here, which we have it right here, I'm not seeing a person on the front. I also like the fact when companies sell an isolated product. Meaning I can take magnesium in the amounts that I want to take it. I can separate creatine out. Versus giving me only the options to do, workout pump 10,000, which has a bajillion different things in it. You know what I mean? So that's another thing I look for is, do they sell isolated supplements where you can
dose it yourself?
And then the names of them, the names of them aren't designed to like make you think that they're something they're not. Muscle builder 10,000. My favorite one was muscle marinade. I was like, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
I really would like to like back in the 90s and the early 2000s, like whoever was naming supplements, they had an awesome. 1,000%. It was a bunch of like 20 and 30-year-old bodybuilders, just being like, dude, what do you want to name this thing? Oh, muscle marinade.
That's it. That's the marketing strategy.
There was one that the capsule. Like, whatever the supplement was, the container the supplement was in was a grenade. And you open the top of the grenade, what was it called? I can't remember. But then you pulled out a capsule, and the capsule looked like a grenade.
See, it's shit like that makes people want to buy it, and they're like, I don't care if it does anything for me. That's cool.
Well, like, if you're 16, you're like, this is for sure.
Like, we're putting that in the routine.
When you're reading Flex magazine, you see a grenade and you see like some giant bodybuilder going like, ugh, and you're like, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
1,000% muscle gain in the first 8 weeks.
Right.
I'm in. Mom, buy me this.
Take my money.
All right, so let's talk about your top supplements.
We've hit on a lot of them so far. I love the Opti Greens from First Run. I love the Opti Reds. I love them paired together too. Tastes better, first of all. Second of all, once you get those greens in digestively.
How do you drink them?
I drink them in a little shot of water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question though.
Yeah.
So I put mine in a shake.
Yeah.
Now it's water in the shake.
Okay.
And I do that because they taste better in the shake than they do in the water.
That's fine.
And it's like one less thing for me to do. So that's kind of, if that's a strategy if anyone wants to utilize it.
Totally fine.
Don't put it in your coffee though.
Don't. Oh God, no. And then I do have a couple of other things that are powdered that I take. Sometimes I'm not real consistent with them because I don't really believe in them. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna try that, right?
What is it?
Right now I'm just doing electrolytes. I've taken some other stuff. I've had like a flavored creatine I'll put in there. That's not bad.
Okay.
Just other random stuff.
Got it.
I do like electrolytes in it. People will mix it in like Gatorade. They'll mix it in their like vitamin water or whatever.
What?
Greens, reds.
Oh, green.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those two are my favorite. You get the green digestive health. You get the red anti-inflammatories, antioxidants. Currently take fish oil.
Okay.
That's another one like the gut health stuff. Like you need to make sure that it is properly sourced.
Yeah.
You've got your EPA, your DHA, all of your stuff that's properly sourced there. And it's not coming from like a fish farm because now we're releasing stress hormones into our fat instead of the fish oil that we're going after.
Right.
So fish oil there. Again, I love my sleep supplement.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients have had a lot of success on that.
Yeah.
That's been pretty much game changer for a lot of people. And then protein.
Okay.
Good protein powder. You can't go wrong with the first one for sure. Particularly, I like Ghost vegan. So I can't have whey. My stomach reacts terribly to it. Ghost has a really good vegan.
Ghost a
flavors.
brand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you take the vegan protein.
Yep.
What's the source of the vegan protein?
Normally it's pea and brown rice. Normally. I like a good egg white protein too.
Okay. Okay, so for pea and brown rice, do you change your amounts up because of the digestibility?
It's actually more digestible than anything else.
Okay. Well, I guess that digestibility, absorption, utilize it like the amino acid profile.
Yeah.
Do you take?
So pea and rice together give you the full amino acid profile. If you get one or the other without
Gotcha,
the other,
okay.
then you're missing some amino acids.
Gotcha.
So you would have to supplement with essential amino acids.
Yeah.
For sure, that's a great question.
I think so. To kind of help people understand what we're talking about, there's like there's protein quality grades, and there's a quality grade as far as like digestibility, absorption. So it gets digested, it gets absorbed, and then also the amino acid profile that protein has. And so you need a specific specific amounts of different amino acids. And so when we say that there's protein in vegetables, that means that there's amino acids in those vegetables,
Right.
but that doesn't always mean that they have all the amino acids in the amounts that you need. So, for example, like 20 grams of protein from broccoli is very different than 20 grams of protein from chicken.
Right.
And just the reality is like that broccoli is not going to provide you with enough quality protein in the amounts necessary to help you grow and be healthy like the chicken would. But so that's just something to consider if you're like in the vegan world.
Yeah.
It's just not a 1-for-1 match.
Absolutely not.
So you do have to go. You have to do a little bit more research and work a little bit more harder.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is with vegan-based protein sources, because in the past, like what's been tough is like if you're a vegan and you're utilizing plants as your only source of food, well, guess what plants have in them?
amino acids.
Well, amino acids and then carbs.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also usually fats.
Right.
And so it throws your total calories way all over the place because you're trying to get your protein from peanuts or from peas or
It's definitely your body has to learn how to source that.
Yeah.
And that's why if you do a diet like that, it is best to do it under some sort of nutrition counseling. So that you actually have a full amino acid profile.
Yeah.
You can build muscle. You're not tissue wasting at any point. Those amino acids are really important for protein synthesis.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to have those in your diet. And if you don't supplement with them, right? They're not necessarily coming from an animal. You can supplement with them.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's
your
like
vegan diet.
The nice thing about the supplements, it actually makes it somewhat doable.
Yeah. So that, back to our original question, if for somebody who's vegan, we need to add amino acids in. We're going to consider that a necessity rather than a supplement.
Yeah. Yeah, because there would probably be no, I'm not going to say logical, there would be no realistic way to get it any other way.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just be such a pain in the ass.
Especially with the way our food is now. We're not as nutrient dense in our food processing. Not any of our foods are the way that they're supposed to be, right? They're not paleo, right?
Yeah.
Everything's become so processed. We're not absorbing everything that we should from them.
Yeah. We're
getting a lot of calories in. We're not getting a lot of nutrients in.
Love it. Okay. I will list, and we're gonna have a lot of similar things, but I think what's interesting is we kind of go through this order as food, health, performance, and I think that's where people kind of flip it around. They're like, I need performance improvements. And you're like, you don't understand, it's doing such a small amount. It's worth doing if you're trying to get that 1%.
Yeah.
So my order is obviously protein powder.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much easier to get in the total amount of protein that you need in the right quantities in the right times without stressing the crap out of your gut.
Right.
And it tastes really good nowadays.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it tastes so good. So that would be kind of my food base. And then my next important supplement, I kind of just put it as a sleep. So I take magnesium every night.
Yep.
And I take night tea most nights. And going back to setting that foundation of getting good quality sleep on a regular basis is what sets you up for success in every other area.
That's instructing the cycle, correct?
Yeah, so
Back to reading directions.
Yeah, reading directions. And I've done both. For a while I did Monday through Friday and took off Saturday, Sunday. Then for whatever reason I was like, I'm gonna do every other day. And the ultimate I kind of wanted to decide to do was just go back to Monday through Friday. But I'm gonna be honest, I feel better when I take night tea, but I would say I get about 5 to max 10% sleep improvement from sleep quality from night tea versus not being on night tea. It's the foundation of there is I don't put my phone in my we don't have a TV in our bedroom. I don't have a phone in my bedroom, and I do all the wacky shit to make sure my sleep's great. I do my temperature stuff before I sleep.
Mouth taping.
I tape my mouth. Yeah. I put a what are the things called? A sleep mask.
Yeah.
And then we have a chiller pad, and so
And those are that's the 99% effort before the 1% of supplemental magnesium comes in. Granted, most people are low on magnesium, we probably need it. But that's what 99% effort looks like.
100%. I'm gonna be hey, you want to get better sleep? I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do.
Yeah, you're not gonna do it.
Put your phone away.
Yeah, exactly. Turn the TV off. Take it out of the room.
Don't watch TV at night.
Yeah.
You can't watch. You can't do any electronics the last 30 minutes before you go to bed. And put tape over your mouth, and you'll probably sleep better than you've ever slept in your life. But if you're already doing all that stuff and you're looking to get a little bit better, then night tea can kind of help.
Yeah.
What I find that night tea helps a lot with is when I'm traveling, if I'm in a different time zone and I'm ooh, I need to get back on track for my sleep.
Yep.
Or if I've had if I'm off whack, if I go to sleep at the same time I go to sleep at the same time every day and wake up weekends and during the week. But if I get off of that and I need to get then taking that IT like hammers me into sleep and kind of forces me to get back on track. If that makes sense.
Yeah, gives you deeper sleep too when you are off track.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like for people who might be maybe shift workers. I've seen like a nurse who maybe works like 224s at night and then comes back to daytime and is like shifting their sleep schedule with that versus being on the same sleep. Like that might be a usage of that supplement to like hammer me back into a new circadian rhythm.
Absolutely. Or just even like the maintaining, like I mean, all of us coaches here, we're like within an hour or two off of our sleep, right? Maybe we just have classes or we're not waking up at 4 o'clock every morning, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so like to have something more routine to provide that quality sleep so that when you do wake up at like maybe an hour or two different every day, you're still the same person in the morning.
100%.
Yeah.
Then so that's kind of my food, and then health would be sleep, and then continue down and go like I take vitamin, fish oil, greens powders, and fiber. And to me, like the vitamin D, like with vitamin D and fish oil, it's so silly not to take. It's inexpensive, it's easy to take, and it's just so impactful for the sleep. Same thing with the greens powder and the fiber. It's like so easy. And then finally I get into like performance stuff. So I put caffeine as like kind of a primary performance impactor. It's cheap, easy, everyone takes it. And then finally I put in, I take Enduroformance before I work out, my first form, and Intraformance. But I would just say those are like the 1% boosts.
Yeah.
You know, they give me a little bit more, they help me, I'm not gonna get into the details of how Enduroformance works, but they just provide me a little bit extra support for those training sessions to perform at a high level and also like recover from them. And I also put an Element as a electrolyte supplement. And
a necessary one though.
Yeah, and I take it after training, but during the summertime I was taking, like when it was hot outside and I sweat all the time, I took it up to 3 packs a day. But I was like sweating all the time. So I kind of just adjust based on how much I was sweating. The final thing I do take L-carnitine. Basically, what it helps do is drive lipids into oxidation. Like helps you burn fat a little bit better. And I also saw something where it said it actually increases androgen receptors in muscle cells. I was like, heck yeah. So
also tastes good in green. So I had to try that one in there.
Yes. But again, we're talking like, what's the impact? 0.5%.
Yeah. Are you gonna see it in the mirror on the scale in your clothes? Probably not.
I would see it in the mirror and in clothes over 5 years of doing everything else correctly with this on there.
Exactly.
So I was like, for most people, I'm like, you don't need to take L-carnitine.
Right.
Right. But for us, it's I'll do the 99%, but then also too, it's like kind of experimental. Let's just see how this works before I suggest it to anyone else.
Right, exactly.
So, all right. Any final words, Cheyenne?
Drink your water.
Drink your water. Love it. All right, awesome. All right, y'all. MBS Fitness Radio out.
What an awesome podcast with Cheyenne right there. My biggest takeaway was all things gut health. I hadn't previously thought about setting the foundation of digestion and absorption in the gut prior to taking protein supplements. So I thought that was a really good insight from Cheyenne. And for all of you guys, here's the deal. If you're not sure what supplements to take, if you are taking a supplement that your friend told you to take or one that you found on the internet or you found on the grocery store aisles, reach out to us. Let us guide you so that you do this appropriately. And not even with just regards to supplements, like we say in the podcast, they're 1% difference makers. The real difference is training and nutrition. If you're struggling at all, if you'd like to get better, reach out to us. Our process is called a no sweat intro. We sit down, we talk to you, we learn about your goals, we learn about your struggles, and we put a plan together that's specific for you. So go to our website, nbsfitness.net, and click on the NSI button on the homepage. We hope to see you soon. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to NBS Fitness Radio. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to share it with your friends, follow us on social media, and check out our website at www.nbsfitness.net. Hit the subscribe button and tune in next time for more NBS Fitness Radio.